When I was little and I heard monsters, I would close my eyes super tight. So tight, I couldn't see anything, and I would pretend that I was a bird or a butterfly. Something beautiful and free, so that I could just flap my wings and fly away. But then I grew up, and I learned the truth about birds and butterflies. I learned what they really are. I don't pretend that anymore. Kaylee Myers, age 8. That is the opening of Little Fears, the game of childhood terror. Created by Jason L. Blair, this game seeks to tell stories of horror through the eyes of a child. If you are looking for a game where you play inherently weak characters against creatures of nightmares while still having there actually be hope in the conflict, looking at you, Call of Cthulhu, this is the game for you. And starting today, we learn all about it. If you're new here, hello and welcome to the RPG Blender, where we give lesser played games and forgotten settings the roll the dice they deserve. I'm your host, Game Master George, and today we will begin this tutorial series by examining the lore created for this game. As always, we are looking only at content included in the core book. While there may be excellent secondary content, a game must be able to stand successfully on its core. Now, a word of warning, this is a game of child characters fighting against dangerous monsters. While this version of the game did tone down some of the more realistically unpleasant things from the original, it is still children being placed in life-threatening situations. If that is upsetting to you, I would highly recommend skipping this video. You may still find some use out of the mechanics in the next parts, but you'll just want to throw the lore away. Last thing before we dive in, let's make a monster collection. As you learn about the world of Little Fears, think about a unique monster that could exist in it, and drop a description in the comments. We'll make a resource for future viewers to plumb for ideas, and boost the engagement of the video a bit. Anyway, let's get started. What is Little Fears? There are evil creatures that stalk the world. Monsters born of fear, created by the belief of children. These are no longer imaginary creatures. The power of belief has given these monsters form, and unleashed them upon the world. Adults cannot see them, don't believe in their existence, so it falls to the children who still hold the power of belief to fight against them. But these monsters truly come from another place, a land of childhood nightmares. It is from this Closetland that the monsters emerge into our world, and here where the King of Monsters sits as ruler of this hell. Something you might not consider is the importance of normalcy in your game of horror. True horror comes from things which break the rules we believe the world operates under. As such, a significant part of the opening chapter of this book covers the normal routines of a child in modern-ish day America. Establishing these routines are vital to building the world of Little Fears, but I'm pretty sure we were all children at some point, and many of us have likely known at least one child. So I'm not going to cover this part in detail. What is important is to stress the schedule of childhood life. Most children have a fairly regimented daily life. Woken up between 6 and 7 a.m., school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., dinner at 6 p.m., then bed at 8 p.m. This routine helps to set the framework of your story. It sets limits on when kids can engage in monster hunting activities, and establishes the human element which will be pursuing them, if that should try to break them from that schedule. To be a child is to be at least somewhat out of control, and any plan a child might have could be uprooted by one of their authority figures dragging them along to a family dinner or shopping trip. Parents and teachers, while hopefully well-intentioned, become obstacles which, while not directly working for the monster, undermine the child's attempts to deal with them. While adults may be unable to see the monsters and thus be unable to help the children, there are some forces in the world which can. First among these is the Light Man, a vaguely humanoid being, torso, head, forelimbs, things that look like hands and feet. No specific details about him can be seen. Literally looks like walking glow sticks. A creature of pure light which changes color according to his emotion. An important way of communication, as this being is unable, or perhaps just unwilling, to speak. He is not bound by the physical limitations of walls or other physical boundaries, coming and going according to his own inscrutable purpose. In his passing, he leaves behind glowing insect-like objects. Normally they burst immediately, but if a child catches one, they can use it to fuel lamps or start fires. While these creatures and the Light Man himself appear to be emitting light, that is not the truth. They are in fact eating darkness. I'm not quite sure how to actually visualize that process, but it does make for some potentially interesting, if brutal, options depending on the monster you face. Next up is the Blue Angel. This being is similar to monsters in a way. Rather than fear, it was created by the force of belief in angels, and lack of belief brought this being to the brink of starvation. That changed, however, when a newspaper in Florida, of course it was Florida, printed a story about a glowing blue lady being locked in battle with a demon who sought to steal the hope of children. This was, of course, a monster, stealing the dreams of children and implanting them in dogs. These dogs would be driven mad by thoughts they couldn't comprehend, rush into traffic, cause accidents, and be killed. The Blue Angel was in a losing battle with this monster, until the children joined hands and wished for it to be given strength, which they somehow made their role on, empowering the angel and allowing it to drive off the monster. The Blue Angel seeks to protect the weak. However, its time being starved for belief has led it to choose its battles wisely. It will only engage in the most dire of battles in order to reserve its strength for when it is necessary. This leads to some less than flattering opinions being formed of it, but it knows that it is doing what it must to continue its purpose. Mother is a being of pure emotion, drawn to places of suffering. She can influence the world by manipulating objects or manifesting physically, depending on how strong the suffering, and will use her power to give advice or warnings to children in need. She also has the ability to open doors to Closetland, though she cannot control where the child will arrive. If you are very still in a place of great suffering, you may hear her softly weeping, whispering the name Daniel. Now, normally when a child turns 13, the force of belief begins to fade, being replaced by rationality. However, not all people completely lose this belief. While many such are driven insane by the warring forces of belief and rationality, some few manage to find a balance between the two, and they may choose to help in the fight against the monsters. This is the army of Saint Nicholas. They have no global power or influence, but they do have a network of secure connections dedicated to preserving information about monsters. Through the gathering and preservation of this information, they try to pass helpful information to those children who struggle against the monsters. They cannot act directly against the monsters, unfortunately, as the little bit of belief they have is not sufficient to be able to see the monsters, let alone banish them. It is only enough to allow them to remember and to stamp down the rationality which would normally keep the monsters away from them. That part's not so good. But enough of the real world and pleasant things. Let's talk about the land of monsters. Closetland. Closetland is a world that sits alongside the one we know. You might call it a sort of parallel universe. Within this world resides the monsters born from the fears of children. The worlds occasionally overlap, Closetland occasionally even dominating over the real world, and this point of contact allows the monsters to cross over. They may come through cracks in reality, be drawn in by a collective burst of nightmare-induced fear, or through abandoned places in the world where Closetland has seeped into the real world. And of course, some powerful monsters may simply make their own door between the realms. While monsters crossing to our world isn't terribly common, it happens enough to be an ever-present concern. Kids entering Closetland, now that is even more rare. Even if it were easy, few kids would willingly choose to enter this world. But when things are desperate enough, when a trail goes cold or a fleeing monster's tracks lead to an oddly darkened closet door, the fight may need to cross the border. Some children may enact a ritual using personally significant objects to pierce the boundary. Others may simply follow a monster through a path they left open, while some unfortunates may stumble through a doorway which has been claimed by Closetland. And once they're there, it is even harder to find a path home. Most of the doors are one way, leading to Closetland, but never from. The few that lead both ways would be closely watched by the monstrous denizens, or in places long forgotten. Failing that, they can only hope they find one of the few friendly creatures of this world who may be able to help them escape. Closetland itself is as varied as our world. You will find deserts, oceans, cities, and jungles, but every corner of it feels deserted and filled with fear. Children may find places they know, like their school, home, or a local park, but it's wrong. It looks familiar, but there is something off. A smell, a feel to the air, or the way the shadows fall. Everything feels like a darker copy of the world they know. And a recent one. Characters will find recent traces of changes they have made, open books, scratched walls, all in line with recent events and telling a terrible tale of constant surveillance. But not everything is familiar. Think of the strange things you see in dreams. Drawings on a cloud, a grassy field where the grass is replaced by painted finger bones gently swaying in the wind, waiting to grasp the leg of an unsuspecting passerby. While the laws of reality do apply here generally, they are not absolute. This is a place of nightmares. Most challenging, however, is the ever-changing nature of the paths. Corridors twist and turn, bringing you to places impossible by paths which no longer exist after you take them. And everywhere you turn, doors. Doors on the ceiling, behind furniture, inside trees, a maze of doorways through all of Closetland. But sadly, no matter how many doors you open, none are likely to lead you home, unless you can find the one key and force the door to bring you home. And lest you think you are free to wander until you find your path, the closet monsters hunt you. Directly serving the king of monsters, they stalk the children wandering Closetland, seeking to subdue them and bring them to their master. But they are not content with just those within. They will leave the confines of this land to snatch children from their beds and drag them into this land of nightmares. No two closet monsters are alike, but most kids will only ever see one. Horrifying though they may be, the closet monsters are not the only dangers within Closetland. Anything you can imagine can exist. But let's talk about a few of the notable hazards. The dollhouse does not look like a dollhouse. It appears to be a hospital, white and sterile, filled with hospital beds and smelling of ammonia and blueberries. Wait, blueberries? On every floor there are doorways labeled staircase, use in case of fire, and you best hope there is never a fire. Peering through the door you can see a terrible sight. Banisters of bone wrapped in barbed wire. Thousands of black eyes emerge from the steps and stare back at you. And a faint sound like a horse walking on pavement. Thankfully, the doors are locked and the elevator works. Of course, the name Dollhouse needs to come from somewhere, and it is probably from the thousands of mishmashed living dolls. Made from a variety of different materials, parts taken from whatever was on hand, they shamble around as best as their ill-fitting pieces allow. In truth, the dollhouse is eerie, but not too much is happening there. However, there is a room, and in that room is a patient, a boy named Patrick, tended to by the black-eyed nurses and the tall doctors with long hands. Patrick, called Patchwork by his tenders, is the one who makes the dolls. Patrick was once a maker before he got sick. Though he was not expected to recover, a mysterious doctor offered him a special medicine. When he awoke after taking it, he was greeted by his new doctors. Now he makes the dolls from the scraps the nurses bring him, waiting for his parents to finally come pick him up. Since Closetland is a place built to be a hell for children, there is, of course, a school. There are many, in fact, but there is only one true school. Appearing to any viewer to be a copy of their normal school, the bells ring twice every day. At noon, the bell rings, and ghostly images of children fill the halls, rushing to their lockers, opening and slamming them in a cacophony of painful noise. It rings again at 3, when the ghostly students rush from the building to fill phantom buses. Once full, they ride away, vanishing in a thick white smoke. Now within the school, you may find the principal's office. You may only need follow the bellowing cries of insubordination to find yourself there. There you'll find a perfect copy of your own principal's office, save for the pictures of a round man with little hair, beady eyes, and a permanent scowl. You will also find an unusual red door on one of the walls, a rare portal back to the real world, specifically directly to your principal's office, leaving you in need of some clever explanations. Behind the school rests the playground. Rust has taken it, however, and it sits unused, despite the ever-present cars parked very poorly nearby. Most prominent are the massive monkey bars, the central fixture of this landmark. Many of the bars are covered in spikes, making it difficult to progress. And should you fall, the concrete underneath has the consistency of flypaper, sticking to the hapless child. But keep your wits about you and watch for flying soccer balls. A malicious kid frequently materializes here, cackling once as the only warning of the impending soccer ball rocketing toward the target's head. Leaving the school behind, you may find your way to Mother's house. Yes, the Mother from earlier in this video. Her home lies deep in Closetland, from which she reaches out to connect with the location she appears in the real world. The house is cozy for Closetland, even containing a roaring fireplace within. Most important, an old fence circles the property, which seems to prevent other monsters from crossing it. There is also a locked shed in the yard, hiding untold mysteries and perhaps secret malevolent intentions. At least until you ask Mother and she willingly opens it for you. The true place of interest is the fireplace. It is not a real fire, just an illusion of heat and light. And behind this fire, which can be safely walked through, is a door which will lead any child home, if they can find it. Unfortunately, the nature of Closetland prevents Mother from revealing this secret, so it is on the inquisitive child to discover. In the back of Mother's yard, you can see 12 great trees, sentinels of a path deeper into the wood. The natural worn trail leads past trees of all kinds, perhaps even a rumored talking baobab tree. But once you get no more than 20 feet in, the canopy grows thick, obscuring your way. Light still abounds, but be sure not to lose sight of your way home. In truth, you must not follow the path, for it loops upon itself through the twisting nature of Closetland. Follow the sound of birds, and you may find your way to the center, to the big ol' hole. 50 feet in diameter, it sits in the middle of the wood. Peering over the edge, you may see a bare prick of light at the bottom, perhaps tempting a visitor to jump inside. But that would be a grave mistake, for it is not the way home. Instead, within the woods you must try to find the chicken-legged house, the only way to leave the wood. A small bare cabin, it wanders the wood atop its giant chicken legs. If you can sneak aboard, it will eventually break through the tree line, giving you the chance to jump free. A hard landing, but the pain will be worth the escape. Should you decide to investigate the house, you will find a bubbling cauldron, piles of questionable meat, and freshly trapped woodland critters dangling helpless from hooks. But whatever you do, Never open the potato bin. Why? Wait and see. At night, the house curls its legs underneath and rests. When it does, a small cellar appears in the back of the house. Beyond this locked door and hidden well, you will find a single chicken egg, the heart of this house. Remove it and you remove the power which makes it mobile. You also gain the ability to safely leave the wood while carrying it. But that is hardly something that you should concern yourself with. You won't likely make it that far, because Baba Yaga protects this house, feeding it, caring for it, and ensuring no children do anything which might damage it. She tirelessly works to produce the bubbling food which keeps the house sated, each meal poured into the potato bin, which houses rows of gnashing teeth and a long, lizard-like tongue. In return for her service, she is given eternal life and a link to the house. She knows immediately if anyone should harm the house, say, by removing its heart. And once she has your scent, even fleeing to the real world cannot stop her from hunting you down. Of course, these are not the only woods in Closetland. Another is the Enchanted Forest. Birds sing, workers whistle from the nearby mines, and everything seems more vibrant than any bit of nature you have ever seen. And atop the tallest hill on the edge of the forest is a beautiful castle. Giant spires and magnificent gardens filled with roses of every color, and within, mirrors line every room. These mirrors are not normal mirrors, of course. They show reflections of your elderly future, or of your death, or seem to have people living within them, going about their lives unaware of their true location. And of course, there are those with children trapped within. In the back of the castle is a tiny door made of very hard wood. This room beyond is foul, smelling of manure and rot. Vines cover the walls and floors, extending to every corner of the castle. And in the center is a throne, upon which sits the most beautiful woman, staring blankly at the door. This is Queen Titania, once ruler of the land of Arcadia before Closetland invaded. The tricksters of her realm fought well for a time, but were unable to stem the brute force of the monsters. Her husband Oberon was slain, and Titania was spirited away to Closetland itself. She resisted the advances of the King of Monsters, and so was locked away here, guarded by the Redcaps and Goblins, who were once her loyal subjects, now corrupted by Closetland. Falling into her present catatonic state, she is now the source of the beauty of the Enchanted Forest, and is kept young by a solstice ritual involving manure, mulched greenery, and innocent blood. Oh, look what just walked into her room. Leaving that horrible scene, within the Enchanted Forest you may find a single stump in a flower-filled clearing. To most, it is only that, a stump. But should you carry a special key found within the Castle of Many Mirrors, you may see an ornate red door atop the stump. On both sides of the door, there is a keyhole, and should you use the key on the side with the lock on the right, the child will be brought to the place they need to be. Note, not want to be, need to be. And if they use the key on the other side, where the lock is on the left, they will instead be brought to the person who needs them most. Infuriatingly, the mischievous door likes to occasionally swap the locks. Of course, to do this, the character will need to deal with the Redcaps and Goblins, guardians of this place. Corrupted by the dark nature of Closetland, they form packs to hunt any child or even monster which stumbles upon this place. They will not pursue into the castle for fear of disrupting the magic, giving a place of safety for a traveler. Of course, any time spent there allows the Redcap and Goblin force to grow outside the walls, so maybe don't stay too long. Now, that is a lot of bad within Closetland, but there are some helpful forces as well. Some may come from the real world, while others come from parts unknown. In all of Closetland, there are perhaps two that matter. Appearing in calm places, the butterflies, one of Closetland's greatest mysteries. Their appearance is unpredictable, but they are a magical sight, and they are protected by the Butterfly Knights. This ragtag group of children have no training, but each has a special talent in some useful area, a purpose. The boy named Kendra founded this group and still serves as its leader, creating the initiation tests for prospective new members. They track sightings, take down monsters who threaten the butterflies, and just try to make sense of the chaos of their lives. Meanwhile, there are rumors of a massive rabbit, 5 feet tall, who can lead lost children from Closetland. If a child can grab hold of his left ear, Bunsworth Von Hoppington must lead them toward freedom, if it is possible to do so. Bunny seems to be searching for a lost girl named Jenna, hoping to find her and return her to the real world. Why is this Jenna so important? Well, she is rumored to have the key to a powerful anti-monster weapon, and to currently be a captive in the Blackbird Room. What is the Blackbird Room, you ask? It is the darkest room in all of Closetland. The heart of madness, the source of fear. It makes no effort to hide itself, for any who would be foolish enough to open this red door with a scratched brass knob surely have a terrible fate awaiting them. When first you enter, you are hit by the smell, like a dirty pet store. Then you hear the sounds of birds, shrill shrieks, and the scraping of claws on metal. Above you, the ceiling is lined with countless black iron cages, each housing a pitch black bird, easily 2 to 3 times the size of a normal bird. Each is trapped within the cage, behind a lock which does not budge. And each was once a child, transformed by the ruler of Closetland. As the child's form shifts, its soul leaves the body to be captured by the king of monsters and twisted into a creature called a bogey. And should you press onward, you are met with silence and a single blue door. A door which is sealed unless the occupant invites you in. The blue door opens to reveal a vast cerulean room whose walls seem to pulse like a heart. In the center sits a chair, ordinary by any measure, but atop the chair sits the king of monsters, the boogeyman. Claws like daggers, fingers of ashen skin and bone, his cackle cuts through the heart of any who hears it. He has 2 sides, his mask and his face. His masked persona, made of bird bones and feathers, is like a cartoonish overlord, demanding subservience and telling the children how they should tremble before him. But the masked side is softer and cold, with a calculating, cruel nature, undampened by the cartoonish antics of the mask. If one should find their way here, to the home of the boogeyman, it is already too late. And that is the world of Little Fears. Fun stuff! Fun stuff. If that was appealing to you, stay tuned for the next videos where you'll learn about the system itself. You'll find links to pick up the game in the description below, affiliate links of course, so if you use them to pick up a new game, you'll be supporting the channel at no extra cost to yourself. If you enjoyed the video, why not drop a like or consider subscribing? More to come on this game and plenty of others to look at. This game was chosen as a result of a poll here and on Twitter, so make sure you've got us in your feed both places for double the votes for the next genre of game. Well, that wraps it up here, folks. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and if you did, maybe check out this tutorial on Don't Rest Your Head. It's got a very similar feel to it. Anyway, thank you for watching, and remember, there's gaming outside the Forgotten Realms.